Howdy, howdy, howdy. By the time y'all see this, I will be a meme again. So, um, things are happening. Things are happening. So incredibly exciting. But I have not been called yet. So, um, things are progressing along, but not yet. I have been so impatient for this new baby to come. I I love babies. I love babies. I had six. I would have had six more if I could have. Seriously. Um, but yeah, I'm kind of envious of Shelly over at There's No Place Like Home and Emmy from the Manor Manor being able to have so many blessings. But the last couple of weeks have just kind of been a turmoil. I'm in the process of changing some of the back end stuff, and and then I had a dear friend pass away, and because I've got a daughter that's expecting any moment, I couldn't even consider going to the funeral or anything. So I did take some time, which I'm proud of myself because that's not always something that I would actually do. But I'm learning with age that it is important to take time whenever things like that happen. Um, but and I'm like, what am I going to do this week's video about? Oh my goodness. I'm kind of at a loss. There's just so many things. So I'm probably going to ramble. There are a few things that I think need to be discussed. When we were having our babies, there was kind of a thing going around I'm going to call it the pre-truth community, the early truth community in the 90s. Those of us who were brave enough to be conspiracy theorists at that point. And should we have more children considering where the world was? I really didn't think we would still be here at this point. Of course, I realize now that I had a lot of misconceptions about the Bible and Revelations and how things are turning out. Um, but battle plans. So we're not supposed to know exactly what's happening or going to happen, right? We're just supposed to recognize it when we see it, kind of thing. So I want to make sure that I'm in that level, that I am familiar enough with the word and the truth to know it when I see it and to know deception whenever I see that. And I think I'm getting better at that as time goes on. Some of that may be age, that we kind of mellow with age and uh gain maybe a little bit of wisdom through the years. And some of it is just the Lord is revealing a lot to a lot of people of all ages right now, which is wonderful to see. But yeah, I remember that being a discussion, and there were several families that decided not to have as many children as the Lord might have blessed them with because they were afraid of ending up in the tribulation with, babies. And I don't know that it isn't a valid concern. I like to believe that we should have faith for our families. But it's hard. I recognize that it is hard. And we really struggled back and forth and back and forth. And I had cesareans with all of ours. So that was another issue. And there are times in the Bible whenever people said, Lord, help me to have faith, help my unbelief. Because we want to believe, and we want to believe that he has, the best for us, and that we're capable of the best that he has for us. And but sometimes it's just hard, right? And especially when you see all of the stuff falling around happening around the world and all the things that are going on, it's hard, right? We just let's just be real a minute. It's hard. Um, because we're in such an uncertain time. We are learning now that so many things that we were taught, we were deceived. We're learning more and more that we've been lied to, that things are not what we thought they were, uh, all the way around, just practically everything, right? And we need to keep faith while we learn the truth and learn the facts. I've been struggling with TikTok lately. TikTok doesn't like facts. Now, I understand where people think that the truth depends on how you want to perceive or define it for yourself. Whether I agree with that or not, we're all in different places in our growth, whether people haven't come to the Lord yet, or they're new to the Lord, or we're old and having to relearn some things, right? That's kind of where the world is right now. But TikTok doesn't seem to like facts. I've been pulling up like government websites and showing copies of bills, showing conversations that I've had with elected officials. Those are facts. The conversation is a conversation that happened. It is a fact. I'm showing the fact, right? The conclusions that people come to after seeing a government website with, a bill that has been introduced or something, the conclusions that people come to are their own. I have my conclusions. I'm not trying to tell anybody what to think, but, there is a fact that in 2016, there was a particular bill that was introduced by an Oklahoma senator that was very interesting, having to do with things that could, how do you even do that? Those little laser thingies that you like to play with the kitty cats, the little red dot, have the cats following the little red dot. Well, there was this bill in 2016, kind of, big red dot type thing. And in 2017, just about a year after that was introduced, not that it was passed, but it was introduced by Oklahoma senator, we had this huge wildfire out here. And that senator came after the wildfires and talked to us. And you don't know how disappointed I was. I mean, I voted for the man the first several years that he was in. I don't necessarily believe in term limits. I think people need to pull up the britches and figure out how to vote somebody out like they voted somebody in, vote somebody different in. So I don't think term limits are the answer. I think people need to be smart enough to vote differently. But at the same time, I know at this point, our votes probably don't even matter at all. And I am just about to the point with David Carrico that, and I have been an avid voter since I've been old enough to vote. And I am just about to the point that throw up my hands and think, what's the use at this point? But like I said, as far as TikTok is concerned, I presented facts. Fact, in 2016, this bill was introduced. Fact, in 2017, this happened. And now you have Maui and other things. So it's just coincidence. maybe worthy of being uh against guidelines. What guidelines is it against to present a a a, a, a congressional bill that has been introduced, and to show who introduced it, who the author of the bill is, and then to show a tragedy that happened a year later? Both are a fact. Whether somebody wants to tie that together and make conclusions is up to them. It should be. But for some reason, it's against guidelines to, yeah, I mean, the second time I even put it in there, I didn't, yeah, I've tried twice on that one. And, yeah, they don't want to see it. And yeah, it's against our community guidelines. What? Facts? Of course, because we've got fact checkers to make sure that no facts that whoever's running the show doesn't want out there doesn't get out there, you know? And then I'm having the same problem right now. Oklahoma, one of the local representatives, Northwest Oklahoma, somebody who should know better, has introduced a bill in Oklahoma that would mandate meters on every water well in Oklahoma. And it all of the questions that you have about that would be defined by the Water Resources Board. So how much is it going to cost? Who's going to pay for it? What are the fees, or, what are the repercussions if you deny them access to your property and putting a meter on your water well? All of that is to be defined by a board, and not elected board, an appointed board. I've got a problem with that. It is a fact that the bill has been introduced. It is a fact that this particular person has authored it. It is a fact that I've had a public conversation on Facebook with him about it. And yet TikTok didn't like that. So it's like, all right, TikTok wants you on there being silly and talking about silly things, bringing lots of people onto their platform, keeping people on their platform, being entertained, because when you're amused, muse means think, a means not, then you are not thinking, and they don't want you thinking. And any of the creators on the platform, on any of the platforms at this point, that are wanting you to think, that are trying to encourage you to think, especially critically thinking, are going to give you the dickens over it. So it's like, yeah, we want to encourage you to get monetized and to, you can do this and you can do that. And oh, we want to encourage you, but yet you're not going to show it to people, or you're actually going to take it completely off. It is so frustrating. And then let me rant a little bit here. And then there's been a comment on somebody's channel recently that was saying that creators should be transparent about their income that they're making on these things. Well, first of all, that would be hard to do, because depending on what you're posting and how many people they actually show it to, and whether or not they monetize or demonetize, depends on what your income is going to be. It's not much. I don't even know if it comes up to a penny per viewer, but it's not much at all. It really isn't. And those of us who stay-at-home moms, homeschool moms, honestly, the whole reason that we do this, well, there's a couple of reasons. For me, definitely. As a homeschool mom, it was an outlet to have a blog and to do these things. It was an outlet for me. It was something that I was able to do without leaving the home. I'm a creative person, so I was able to share my creativity. I was able to share with people what I was learning at the time, which is what I do now, right? I've moved a little bit past the homeschooling bit and moving into other things now. But it is an outlet. I'm out here in the middle of nowhere. There aren't very many people out here who are the least bit interested in the things that I'm interested in. I was the first homeschooling family in our county. And honestly, the whole county was mad at me for a while about it. So I don't have very many in-person friends. I really don't. Um, I've got some acquaintances and some people that I really love and I get along with whenever I do see them. But as far as having like any close friends that I can actually talk about the things that I'm, putting in my blog or talking to you about, those are very, very thin. There are very few people who want to hear it. And I'm sure you guys understand, or you wouldn't probably be here. And so, it's an outlet. And number two, whenever you homeschool and you decide to be a stay-at-home mom, you make an active decision to live on one income. That's not easy. It doesn't matter what the husband's income is, and it's nobody's business. But I know moms whose husbands are doctors or lawyers or, CPAs, things that you would consider to be a higher income thing. And they still struggle to try to bring in a little extra income. You don't know what expenses the person on the other end has got. If there's extra medical expenses, if there's all kinds of special needs that can be happening in a family that it's like somebody's income online isn't relevant. What's relevant is God is providing for that person, and this is one of the ways that God is providing, and I have the magazine, that people can subscribe to. I try to keep it down to a small amount. And the Patreon, a lot of people have got Patreon. I've got the Patreon. I'm not making very much money at all off of those, but if you have ever been in a difficult financial situation, then every penny counts, right? Every penny counts. So it doesn't matter what it is. It helps. Every little bit helps. And that's what we're trying to do. So picking on creators, oh, you're making all this money. It's dependent upon so many things. And the more time you try to do this, I mean, the research that it takes for the more in-depth videos takes a lot of time. The time to do the recording takes time. I don't edit, so I refuse to edit. I just don't want to edit. So, you know, if you're editing, that takes another bit of time. The equipment costs money. I mean, if you're making money off of a computer and a computer crashes, you have to buy a new computer. So you have to make sure that that money is available. And even if you get like the cheapest computer, it's still not a lot. And I tend to go for refurbished stuff. My camera isn't great. My mic isn't the best. I do the best I can, but if something breaks, this is an expensive, for me, it's an expensive piece to do whenever we're sitting here. We need, to buy chicken feed and uh keep fuel in vehicles and stuff. So nobody knows what another person's expenses are. Nobody knows what other people are dealing with. And suggesting that somebody who's a creator, that you're enjoying their content, should be transparent about their income to you. It's like, whoa, are you suggesting that all of your elected officials be transparent about the extra income that they're getting from lobbyists and stuff? I mean, that information is public domain. You're supposed to be able to get that information and find it out. But how many of you look that up? So if that picky person would just happen to be here, which probably won't be, you know, I would suggest that you find out where your elected officials actually look up that public information first. Find that out first before you suggest that some creator give you their 401k. Okay. let's just not go there. Okay. I'm not asking you guys what your income is. I pray that the Lord is providing for you what you need, right? And if you need 100,000 a year, great. And if I can live on 10,000 a year, great. I mean, that's where I'm at. So anyway, oh my goodness. Uh anyway, um, yeah, back to the babies. I don't know how many of you know. I am also a faith midwife. I'm not like a certified, licensed, registered, nothing like that. I'm just like, if you have the faith, I, you know, will be that extra person and come alongside you. And that means wherever you decide to have your baby. So if you decide to have a baby in the hospital, then I will go as, they call that a doula. But you know, I will go and help you through labor and stuff. And I'm seeing more and more young ladies who are really interested in a more natural, and I'm seeing more and more hospitals that are moving more toward trying to at least look like they're doing a more natural thing. I I don't know if I agree with, I definitely don't agree with everything. Um, I was at a doctor's appointment with a young mommy recently, and I mean, just out of the blue, a little one was asking, "What are you doing?" And the nurse was getting a perk ready, getting a jibby ready. And it's like, what is that? Well, we do the, she she only gave the name of one of the things that was in it, but it had at least three different things that were in it. But she said, "Oh, it's just such and so, and we do this with all of our pregnant women at such and such time." And the mommy looked at me and she's like, "Do I have to?" And I'm like, "You don't have to." And the nurse, you know, and I didn't say that. I just kind of, but you know, the nurse said, you know, you can refuse it. And so anyway, but it was funny that she wasn't going to tell her that until there was a question. She was just going to jab her. Just, and it's like, whoa, seriously? Um, that's disturbing. And the if you read the papers on these, which should be given to them before they make that decision, so everybody's making an informed decision, um, you know, it should scare you to death to be giving that to a pregnant woman. I mean, how many of our supplements and things say don't, not if you're pregnant or nursing? I mean, so many things say not if you're pregnant or nursing. Don't take this if you're pregnant or nursing. Don't do this if you're pregnant or nursing. But yet they're going to inject things in a pregnant mom. And I kind of have an issue with that. I really do. I have an issue with that. And then of course they're telling these moms, and they've been doing this for a while, telling these moms, don't let anybody be around your baby if they haven't had their boosters. But they don't tell them how long they have to have the booster before they can be around the baby. So they're not given the time period. And the paperwork actually says that anybody who has had a booster should not be around a pregnant woman or a newborn for X amount of time. Usually it's months. Usually it's months. So it's like, when did all it, well, of course, we all know when it changed, right? It's been changing for a long time as they've been, getting everybody used to just getting the juice, you know, every, every few months. They got everybody used to getting juice once a year. You need this particular juice once a year. And then now it seems like it's just every few months. And then if you're pregnant, every pregnant woman needs to have this. It doesn't matter if your babies are 1 year apart or not. And it's like, you're not supposed to have it unless it's been 5 years. You're supposed to have so much time in between. I I don't know where the world's going right now, guys. I really don't. And I just had a conversation on my fake book about kind of along these lines. And I wonder, I haven't had anything since it had any juice since I was in my teens, early teens. But I wonder how many of my health problems that I've had and dealt with through all these years stem from that or were made, complicated because of that. I know some of mine is genetic or whatnot, and there's a lot of other issues going on there, but how many of those things go back? And I've talked to some people and they're like, oh, it never bothered us. And it's like, how many health issues do you have? Oh, just ADHD. It's like, and where do you think that came from? Because I don't remember that whenever I was in grade school. We had a couple that were pretty active. I may be considered hyper and hard to handle. But not not like that. Oh goodness, people. I'm knocking things down. I don't even know what it is. So anyway, just really frustrating. And I'm glad to see so much good information coming out now. No matter how healthy we try to be from day one, we could still have, there can still be health problems. There can still be issues. We live in a broken world, for heaven's sakes, right? Uh, it's a thing. It's a thing. Um, I know, like I said, I had cesareans with all of mine. I had a horse flip over on top of me and break my pelvic bone when I was 13 years old. I can't do anything about that, right? There was nothing. And I tried the whole faith, name it and claim it thing, and you can't say I didn't have enough faith. I was going to have those babies naturally, but it didn't happen that way, you know. And I know there are some people in our community that would say, well, you just didn't have enough faith. And maybe Jesus would come down and say, well, you just didn't have enough faith. But, and I know occasionally he told the disciples, oh, ye of little faith. I could understand if he said that to me about several things, but not that one. There's some things that you had enough faith for, but it didn't turn out that way. And I just have to assume that there's a reason. I know he's capable of healing me. I know that it is generally his will that he wants everybody to be healed, and that he doesn't want anybody to have to go through hardships. But at the same time, he says that we'll go through tribulation. We will go through hardships. Blessed are those who mourn, right? He says that in the Bible. Well, if he wanted everything to be hunky-dory all the time, he why would he have needed to say that, as a comfort? There's a psalm, I should look it up real quick. Is it my favorite verse? Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, Psalm 58:8. You have kept count of my tossings. Put my tears in your bottle. Are they not in your book? And, I like a lot of Bible verses. I really do. But that is, I have to say, one of my absolute favorites because, and the Lord brought this verse to me one time when I was trying to help a friend through, she was struggling with her faith and struggling with why God had her in the situation that she was in. And, God just like brought that verse to me and I shared it with her and it made such a difference. I saw it make a difference in her life, and I just think, isn't that amazing that he puts our tears in a bottle and keeps them in a book? He keeps record of all those things, not to gloat over it, but to say, hey, these are the hardships that this one has endured. And I am there and I understand and I'm keeping track. And then Jesus, Yeshua, comes later and he said, blessed are those who mourn, and that's just comforting to me. I've been through a lot of baloney in my life. I really have. Some of it I brought on myself, I'm sure. And some of it I had absolutely no control over. And I've talked to some of you, I emails and I got my first phone call from one of you recently. And you've all been through things too. Life is hard. It is stinking hard. But I look back now and each birthday I have, and I'm over 50 now, each birthday I have, whenever I turned 50, somebody treated me like an, oh, poor baby, you're turning 50. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm grateful to be the age that I am. I consider this a celebration to be the age that I am, not because I'm celebrating a birthday and think that I need to be treated special that day or anything, but because I really didn't think I would live to grow up. I really did not think I would live to be this old. And that is amazing, you know? Um, and while there were times, definitely in my childhood, I wanted to die. I literally did. I thought I was going to. I thought somebody was going to kill me, or I was just going to die one way or another. Um, and I could not see past that and see that life could be worth living. It was hard, And now I look back and I count my blessings, which is so important for us to count our blessings. And I'm like, wow, Lord, you have brought me through so much. And look at the blessings that you have given me. And the biggest part of that, I mean, my husband, my hunky happy, he's awesome. He's a pain in the neck sometimes. You guys hear him in the background sometimes. And he's an old goat sometimes, but he's awesome. But those children and grandchildren, those are blessings that are way beyond. And being able to watch them, and especially my children have made good choices. I've been just very brutally honest with them about my childhood and the things that I went through. And about life and the world in general. And I've tried to train them to be soldiers, in the army of God. They are warriors in the kingdom, and that's how I've trained them. I have really tried not to sugarcoat things. They're not perfect by any means, shape, or form, but that's what I've done, and their dad's been a good example. I can't say that I'm the good example. He's the good example. I'm the one that's training them to be warriors for the kingdom. And they've all made the decision to follow the Lord. They don't all do it the same way that I do. They've all got different ways that they're following him. But I am just continually amazed because I feel like it's in spite of me. You know, I've seen much godlier parents than myself end up with children that turned away from God. So it's got to be in spite of me that the Lord has done that. And each child, everybody makes their own decisions, right? We can do everything perfectly great, the best that we can, and rely on the Lord to pick up where we have dropped the ball. But whenever it comes down to it, our children have to make their own decisions. So we shouldn't beat ourselves up. So if you're doing that, don't beat yourself up if your children, have walked away from the Lord or aren't on the straight path right now. Just keep praying for them, because no matter how bad it gets, God can still redeem them. And they have to make their own decisions and their own choices. And we make ours, and we make our own mistakes and stuff, right? So anyway, although to bring this all back around, I know it's a tough time and everything, but I am so happy to see the babies in my feeds and see the new babies being born and see families welcoming children into their lives. Because I think those families that decided not to welcome any more children into their lives, and who's to say that God would have given them more anyway, but those families that decided not to welcome more into their lives, I wonder how they feel about that now. Maybe they're happy with the decision that they made, but more often than not, I see people who regret not welcoming more blessings into their life. I never see anyone wish they hadn't had more children, right? And if you're happy with your, one or two or three that you had, then, praise the Lord. And if you're like me, and you can only have so many and you would have liked to have had more, but that's just not how it worked for you, then I feel you. I feel you. Um, Looking forward to grandchildren is awesome. And then helping other women with their babies is so nice, you know. Um, but let's celebrate new life as it comes along. Let's celebrate these families. Do not ever ask somebody, don't you know what causes that? When I was pregnant with number 4, I think somebody asked me that, one of the old timers in our community, and I was so tired of the question by that time. He caught me on a bad day, and I said, yeah, and we like it. And he just kind of, and then I found out later from his wife that they had had 2 children, like within just less than 2 years of each other. And she thought they were going to have a whole bunch. But she said, but we didn't. We had those 2, and that was it. And I'm like, he did not plan unless he went and got a surgery and didn't tell her, because I've known that there were some of the old men out here did do that. But unless he did that, then God turned it off. God made that decision for him. And if the number of children was a significant of how many times you're intimate in your marriage, then that would be sad, because intimacy in marriage is a gift from God, and we should delight in that. So anyway, I could really go on several little sidetracks. I'm going to try to do something more serious, hopefully next week. The baby will be here. I'm praying that everything goes smoothly. I will probably be posting once everything's, I bet baby's here and everybody's healthy and happy, that I'll be posting, a welcome. We don't know if it's boy or girl, so it's going to be a surprise. So we're all excited about that. Big Brother has a name picked out that will work for a boy or a girl. I don't know if that's the name his parents have decided to use or not, but it's kind of fun. Everybody's excited about this baby and been really looking forward to it. So, are you expecting a new little person in your family anytime? Any nieces, nephews, grandchildren, children, anything like that? I want to celebrate these new babies. And if there are any that we can be praying about, that are expecting, or maybe any that are having any issues or anything, let me know. Let me know in the comments or email me. And I do go through that. And I also, on Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of stuff, I try to check messages and comments and things. So definitely interact with me. I love it. I love talking to you guys, and seeing your comments and hearing your prayer requests, and hearing what fun bunny trails and rabbit holes the Lord is putting you all on as well. I'm learning from you guys too. So hopefully we'll have something serious next time, other than me just sitting here ranting. The new magazine is out. If you would like a copy, it's over at prairie-trail.com is where you subscribe to the magazine. And you can subscribe to the newsletter, but if you haven't subscribed yet for the free newsletter, you might want to wait a couple of months, because I am changing things around, hopefully going to save a few pennies and get everything onto a different platform, so that I can, hopefully have everything in one place and save a little bit of money there. So anyway, it is going to take me some time, because this tech stuff is testing my brain power. So anyway, I glad to touch base with you again this week. And remember, you can make it through the dust storms of life, through with God's divine help.